Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. How you all doing?
Hey, hello. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. Hey, Franca. Hey, Rob.
Hello.
Hello. And Jan. Wow, cool. Right. I'm gonna have to rename you, Laurie, honestly.
I don't know how it does that. And I don't know how to change it. I don't know. Yeah. Thank you.
Big Moo. That's nuts. So, how's everyone doing? Who wants to who wants to go first? Who's got anything?
I've got something as usual.
Oh, just for a change, Laurie. I thought you
Okay. So yeah, I actually have six questions. I don't know if we'll get to all of them, but for the first one, Anthony Chafee, he does like these racks of meat. And is there any chance you know the details, reasoning for this, and amount of salt he puts on the meat, and how long can this be kept in the refrigerator before it goes bad? Because it looks like he has a lot.
Yeah. Hi, Lisa. Um, well, you mean when he puts it in the fridge and he puts it on racks?
Yes.
Well, that's kind of to dry it out and age it, and so that it's not sweating in a load of plastic or something. And he doesn't actually salt his meat.
Oh, I beg to differ. Yeah.
Okay, he told me that he doesn't use salt anymore.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, so he just like sits it in the rack, and then how long? He doesn't freeze it. It's like stuffed.
Yeah, yeah. I've wondered the same thing. He does have a lot in his fridge, but he does eat a lot. He does, I've eaten with him. I've eaten with Sean Baker, and Sean Baker eats twice as much as Anthony, but Anthony eats a lot. And so, I guess he eats it before it goes off. But
Well, how long will it last?
it depends what stage it's at when you put it in the fridge.
Well,
So some of it's already been matured for like 28 days or something, or 30 days, or some of these meats. So it depends if it's real fresh. If it's real fresh, you could put it on a rack in a fridge and it would last for a month. But not if it's already matured. I don't know. Well, I do that. I put it on a rack, leave it for 3, 4 days, probably. When it's already matured 28 days, it's really nice. I
did
do
you
salt it.
salt? Did you salt?
I do, yeah. But it just depends on your taste and whether you've got an electrolyte imbalance and you need a load of salt. So, Anthony's been doing it a long time. He says he prefers it without salt. So that's cool. But also, he says a lot of people need a load of salt.
Wow, that is okay. And what about the liver? Like raw
He,
livers.
yeah, he eats it raw, doesn't he? But
Yeah. Does he salt that? How
no,
long does that last on the rack?
not that I know of. And I don't know whether he puts it on a rack. No idea. Never seen him do it. So I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, wait, yeah, I heard. Yeah, he's had a thing where he puts it on a rack, and then it'll turn to jelly. It gets dried out. It's like a gummy bear.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, I have one, two, three. I have five more questions, but if you want to do someone else first, that's okay.
Go on then. Well, if anybody's got anything, just put your hand up. If Hi, Owen and Joni. Hello. Hey, Joni. Um, yeah, go on then, Laurie. Go on.
Okay. So on the fasting, Sean Baker, he talks of a 3 day fast. I think every week he does a 3 day fast.
Does he?
Um, I thought, well, but I don't listen to him like all the time, just some. So I might be just getting, hits and I don't know for sure because I don't watch him all the time. But I thought maybe you might know. But my thinking was that he does a fast once a week for 3 days, and then Is that accurate? And then also, is this a dry fast, a water fast, a bone broth fast, a limited food fast, or and does he get weak?
I can't think if the word weak is applied to Sean Baker usually. I don't know. I don't know what he does. Honestly, I don't think I've ever heard him talking about fasting for that long. Um, I think it's a lot of these long-term carnivores, they don't eat liver particularly, but they don't fast either. Just eat when you're hungry. It's like Zofia says that just eat when you're hungry and get those nutrients in because they say that it's a fasting mimicking diet. I'd say fasting is a carnivore mimicking no food thing. And Sean Baker on dry fasting, I've never heard him talk about it. I mean,
Okay.
it can be useful in certain instances, but I think, like Sophia says, if you're eating right, you really don't need to do deliberate fasts.
Okay. And then Anthony Chafee, he doesn't do them. Is that correct? I mean, he might miss a meal or like skip a day every now and then just because it's too late to eat, right? But he doesn't like deliberately do fast. Is that correct? Like he'll
As,
normally
as,
eat every day.
as far as I know, and quite usually he eats once a day and really late at night because he works really late and he prefers to work out and work fasted. So he doesn't eat until late on, as far as I know. I mean, I've only seen him eat on the carnivore retreat, firsthand, and he'll eat twice a day there because the food's there twice a day. So that's the only time I've seen him eat. So what he does at home, he's a lot more busy. So on the carnivore retreat, he's just hanging out and eating food and chatting to people. So that's all I've seen him do. But as far as I know, he doesn't fast, not deliberately. No.
Okay. All right. Okay. And then can I ask another one? Or
Go on.
okay. Well, okay. So Tom Seifert, he recommends a 5 day water fast about once a month during chemo time or doing anti-parasites on that time. Um, is that like a water fast, or does he include a little bit of bone broth, or what is Tom Seifert, or do you know?
I don't know. All I know of Tom Seafried is the really low carb stuff for cancer, and he's got some great ideas. But exactly what he eats, personally, I have absolutely no idea.
Or what he recommends if you have cancer. One of my dear friends just got diagnosed with a very severe bone cancer in her spine.
Shit.
Yeah, it's horrific. Yeah, she's in so much pain. I felt like she cries just you know walking. It's so painful.
Can
But
I can I can I ask though, Laurie, is she jabbed? Has she had all the jabs and stuff?
I I I don't think so. She's
Okay.
she's she's very intelligent. I think she's yeah. I think she talked about not. She did not do that. Um.
It's
Yeah.
just it's very difficult when somebody gets one of the really nasty wallops, one of the nasty batches, and they do get we've seen a lot of turbo cancers and stuff, and it's very difficult at that stage,
Yeah. Yeah.
so Sophia's seeing it and says, it's much more difficult to reverse when you throw that into the equation.
Yeah.
But
So
of course we're not allowed to talk about anything like that.
yeah. So if you did have the cancer, should you do a 5 day water fast and include a couple cups of bone broth?
If I was at that stage, I would probably try the full 11-day dry fast under supervision of somebody who knows about it.
Okay.
You know,
Dry fast.
well, yeah,
11 day.
it's much more effective. But at some stage like that, I'd probably, and that's not me saying that I would recommend it, right? I'm convinced enough that if you're in a real dire situation, it can be very useful, you know? Sophia would disagree with me and just go high fat carnivore, um, because they have amazing results with that. But also to knock something like that out very quickly, there is very good results with dry fasting. In my fasting days, I really wish that I'd known about dry fasting because I lost a hell of a lot of muscle doing really long water fasts. But I think one of the most important things, particularly if you've got cancer, is to maintain body weight, right? And so if you do a dry fast, you don't lose muscle mass, but you do on a water fast. And so it's very protective against muscle mass because the body's not searching for nutrients, it's searching for hydration. And so it blows up the cells that aren't needed, cysts, tumors, all that kind of thing. It will go for and try and get hydration that way. And so it's not primarily going for nutrition and breaking down its own muscle, which it would do in a water fast because it's hydrated. So that's the theory of it. And as far as autophagy and apoptosis goes, cleaning up the cells, a dry fast is they reckon it's equivalent to a 3-day water fast for that anyway. So if you can imagine for that, you've got sort of a 33-day water fast with no muscle loss if you do an 11-day dry fast. I don't think it's an exact science. Does dry fasting have salt? No, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nil by mouth, basically. Let's have a look just a sec, see what's happening in the comments here, because have a look. Oh no, it goes back. It goes back to the other episodes, and now I'm lost. How does it do that? Okay, something. Okay, something that happened to me with the age drying on the fridge is the change in flavor. After 1 week, it was too dry for me. The flavor changed too much. Yeah, I think that's you've got that sweet spot of how long to leave it in there before it dries out too much. Enjoy your lamb and broth, Andrea. And hi, Owen, by the way. Nice to see you. And Franca says fasting frequently increases cortisol in women by triggering a survival mode response. So be careful if you have a cortisol problem. Yes, I would agree there. And Rob said for Chafee, Phil would know better, but the video I saw of Anthony Chafee explaining his fridge was salting and using the rack to reduce bacterial growth while it ages in the fridge. I vaguely recall him saying 2+ weeks, again, probably depending on how long the meat was aged before. I think this was an older video, so his views on salt may have changed. Yeah, I think it's kind of recent that he's given up on salt because I know he used to have it, but he doesn't so much anymore. Um, yeah, there we go. Caught up on the messages. So, anybody else, or are you still on a roll, Laurie?
I've still got another one.
Go on then.
Okay, so oh, the group that I think you called them the Inuits. Do they live in Greenland? Greenland's in the news a lot lately, and I guess we have some military bases there, and what Trump wants to own it outright. And then is that where that group lives though? That lives off the land and eats a lot of
Yeah, some of them live up there. Some of
yeah, and they're real healthy.
all around the Arctic Circle. Yeah.
Okay, so that's where that group is that they admire because they're real healthy, and they don't eat no vegetables or fruits because they don't have them, and they uh and they got beautiful teeth and eyes and bones. And is that right? Is that Greenland where they're at?
Yeah, well, it's not just Greenland, it's all around the Arctic Circle that they live. Yeah, because that spreads through different countries, doesn't it?
Okay.
But yes, up there. Franca says, and in Canada, yeah. Up north around there, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Has anyone else got anything? Who else has got something? How are you doing, Joni?
Hi, I'm doing good. I wanted to let you know that I did a liver flush last weekend.
Okay.
It wasn't as bad as I thought. I think I was expecting to like I don't know, have more nausea or stuff like that, but really wasn't too bad. But I think it went well, at least as well as it can. It's not, I don't have a very strong stomach, so trying to drink everything was a little bit rough for me, but I managed to do it all. So
Cool. And so what have you felt since then?
I think I've definitely seen a little reduction in some inflammation, especially on my ankles, but some of my other areas, like my knee, hasn't really changed much. But I think my ankles are doing a little bit better, maybe a little kickstart there, which is good. Uh, I definitely noticed a lot of stones, which was kind of cool to see, especially because my fiance and I both did it together. He is fortunate he doesn't have autoimmune or other issues. And I mean, aside from multiple trips to the bathroom, I don't think we had similar, I don't think he had very many stones
Okay,
compared.
it's
So,
I hope you had two toilets because it's terrible having to go two up on one, when the
yeah,
urge hits.
we have two different, yeah, we have multiple bathrooms, so we didn't overlap. Which
Cool, cool. Well, if you do one of those every new moon and see what happens until, the stones get less or whatever you call them, sort of soapy little things. But in your case to get that liver working really well, I think it might show some real good results. So fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
I'm gonna try to do a couple more once a month and just see how it goes. I'm curious to see if it helps with just digestion, because since like upping my fat ratios from PKD, I think, well, I know it just takes the body a while to kind of adjust to that. But I was curious because I see a lot like in the carnivore space of people talking about just different fat sources, and why you might be still having like loose stools and whatnot or everything, and talking about how tallow, even if it's cold left in the fridge, it's still a rendered fat. I don't I mean, that's like my main source of extra fat, because I've tried raw suet before and I think I got some food poisoning from it. So
Really? Okay.
I don't really have a trusted source of where to get that from. So I don't want to necessarily go that route. But yeah, I don't know. I was just curious, like, if you've seen a lot of people have issues even eating like cold tallow because it is technically still rendered. And I don't know what other fat sources are best aside from obviously just like fat trimmings and whatever comes on your meat already.
I think you'd have been really, really unlucky to get food poisoning from fatty offcuts. I mean, obviously anything's possible, but I've never heard of it before, so very unlucky there. But I think, but yes, people do have experience with getting the runs from rendered fat, not being able to digest it properly. So yeah, the usual thing is to, I don't like the idea of taking ox bile and stuff like that. I think it just makes the body lazy. And so you want to get your bile production up, which, controversially, and most carnivore people in the carnivore space would give me a slap for saying liver flushes, and it's a whole load of woo-woo and nonsense, but I've just seen it work too well, too many times. So um, that's going to help. That's going to help with the bile flow and clearing any crap out that's stopping the bile getting out really from the gallbladder and the liver. So um, if you don't want to do the fatty offcuts anymore, and that's understandable, once bitten, twice shy. So, but the liver flushes should help. I mean, people, even if they have trouble, it usually just balances out in the long term anyway. But yes, uh, sorry. Where are we up to? So just having a quick look at the chat. Sorry, I had to answer a phone call, Jan. My son is doing a Cambo course. Wow. And bless him, he failed, but he's okay, and they're going to help him pass the course in the next few months. This is Cambo, like the frog hallucinogenic. Am I getting that right?
No,
You're muted there, Janet.
no, it's not hallucinogenic. It's a purging a toxin really off the frog's black back. It's not hallucinogenic at all. No, I've done it once. It was interesting. Yeah,
Wow,
interesting.
okay.
But he failed, so it was in Liverpool. He was doing it, and he just told me, yeah, he's only 22, and he's confident, confident. So he wants to be a practitioner in Campbell and different medicine.
Wow, interesting.
I
Yeah,
know. So yeah, I'm proud of him. Even if he's failed, it's fine. He'll pass it. He'll pass it. He's determined.
yeah, cool. Hope so.
Yeah.
So another one we got here. My personal experience is fat is that 3 months ago, all the rendered fat becomes loose stools. Nowadays, after 77 days of only meat, water, and salt, it's not a problem anymore. Yeah, that's it. And Andrea says, I saw some Sally Norton videos. She suggests to transition slowly. I'm a bit confused about oxalates and my pain. I have so much pain in my ankles at the moment. Will that be just oxalates? What diagnostic test is available for oxalates? Um, okay, Andrea. Well, oxalates, there's no real test. I've looked this up on Sally's website, really, because she came on my podcast too. Um, and there really isn't uh, a really good test for oxalates. They're all interpreted wrong, they're applied wrong. It's very difficult to test for them, and they do so many different things in different people. And she suggests to transition slowly just from the oxalate viewpoint. And I can see the sense in that. And if you can do that, if you're if you're a moderator rather than an abstainer, and you can transition slowly, then Bart Kay says this as well. But I'm more of, I get addicted to things, and then I try a little bit, and then you need more and more, and so I find it very difficult to transition. I just pull the band-aid straight off. So that can sometimes be a problem with oxalates for people, but I think if you are experiencing what you think is definitely oxalate dumping, just have a cup of black tea or some dark chocolate or something, and then if it slows down, and it can do very quickly actually, then it is oxalates. If it doesn't, it might not be oxalates. So you can kind of test for it like that. But weaning off, if you're that type of personality, then give it a go. But I just prefer to just go straight into it, particularly if there's any pain, any inflammation, any autoimmunity, just uh, just go for it. I've not seen anybody get into any trouble really. I mean, the only trouble really, I think, is the regular adaptation things, which everybody knows about, the electrolytes and the keto flu and that kind of thing. But that's easily addressed. But yeah, the kidney stone thing with me was horrific. But then again, I'm glad to do that because the pain of the kidney stones for it's agony, it's suicidal pain, but it's better for me. I think I'd rather have had that than be trapped on the sofa for another 3 to 6 months trying to transition slowly with my knees the size of footballs and things like that. So no, yeah, try. Depends on your personality, I'd say.
Bill, can I also
Yes,
ask on
Jen.
that question too? Like, because I understand, like Sally talks about how it can be really dangerous for certain people to let the oxalates just dump, without sort of slowing it down. But in slowing it down, if you're doing carnivore to heal, does the tea or the chocolate, whatever you're using to help with it, is it better to just like abstain from it and just let it do its thing, or is it because if you're using something that's not carnivore, is that going to prolong your healing process to slow the oxalate dumping? Or
I think a couple of squares of dark chocolate or a cup of black tea is really not going to do much to the gut. It's a just something that you do once. It's not going to rip your guts to bits or anything, and it can tell you whether it's oxalates or not. I think that's more of a test than any of the tests that they do because they'll sort of test you, and then it's just a snapshot because it depends how they're testing it, and so they'll see the blood levels of oxalates maybe, and that doesn't tell you what's going on in the cells or different organs or joints or anything. So all of these tests, like any blood test, are just a snapshot, and they probably won't tell you that much. So no, I don't think it's a problem. But quite often, if you have joint pain with oxalates, doing the tea and dark chocolate kind of thing doesn't do much to it. It's more like when people have, like rashes and things like that. They can clear up very quickly if you put a bit more blood oxalates in, but it's, from some tea, a bit more levels in the blood, but it stops the dump. But now I don't know. I don't know. Everything gets blamed on oxalates, these days. There's always these crazes in the carnivore community, aren't there? At first it was deuterium. Everything's to do with deuterium, right? Every problem you've got. And then suddenly it's oxalates and this and that, you know? And now it's lack of carbs, isn't it? So everybody's ill because they're not eating enough fruit and honey. So it's all very weird. These things might apply to individual people, but I don't know. Oxalate dumping is such a sort of not art, it's a black science, isn't it? Nobody really understands it. So yeah, unless you form kidney stones, I'd just say don't worry. That's just me. Other people would disagree with me. And Sophia would say they're not a problem in the first place. Stop focusing on them. It's a load of old nonsense. So it depends who you listen to, doesn't it? But I say listen to everybody who is pretty bright and try it yourself. We're our own best doctor. The good thing is that none of these things are really going to harm anyone or kill anyone. So, you know, um, experiment. How you doing, Brian? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Phil. What I've discovered is I think I might have another hernia, and I don't want surgery, so looking for a bit of advice on how to deal with that, mate.
What sort of a hernia?
Inguinal
All right, yeah.
in the navel again. I've had 4 ops in the past on hernias
Have you
and
got
problems with it. Sorry,
have you got meshes in there?
I did have, and that I had to have an operation to cure or to fix the mesh problem as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
about 2012 I had a mesh put in. I wish I never had.
Oh God, yeah,
It's never given me any problems, but
yeah.
the thought that I've got a load of plastic and what they say is inert stuff in me, I don't like it.
Well, trouble is, Phil, it's your body starts binding to it.
Yeah,
And
it would be very difficult to get it out now. It'd be horrific. Oh.
yeah, yeah.
But if I had another one and was facing it now, I
Mm.
would go, well, unless you listen to Mark Tracy, who says that everything to do with hernias is to do with dehydration. You've just got to drink salt water all day long and it clears up your inguinal hernia. I don't know about that. This is just one guy
No.
who keeps going on about it. But I would go to the Shouldice Clinic if you've got the money. It's Canada. It's the place for that. They repair without meshes, and they're absolutely brilliant.
Really?
I'll put it in the chat and have a look.
Okay. I'll click on it then, mate. Yeah, thanks.
I don't know if I can. I haven't got the link,
Okay.
but that's what it's called, and that's where I'd go
Okay.
for
I'll
sure.
look into that, mate. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust anybody on the NHS wielding around great big strips of plastic anymore.
I don't want to go inside the hospital ever again, mate.
Yeah, yeah, very dodgy. I mean, he just looked me in the eye and said, "No, it's completely inert," and I believed him. If I'd have known back then what I know now, I'd never have done that.
How would he know?
Exactly. Yeah. But you get this sort of doctor thing. Even after I'd seen through most things, I thought, oh,
Was
well,
he wearing a white coat, Phil?
no, he wasn't actually. No, because he was a consultant. So if he'd have been wearing a white coat with all his sponsors on it, I
It's
might have,
amazing what you know now, eh?
I
Amazing.
know, I know. But
Yeah.
lovely bloke and all that, very sweet.
Yeah.
And yeah, conned me into it. But, touch wood, I've had no problems that I know of from it.
Oh, that's good.
But Jeremy Ayres always used to say that thing sitting in you is causing all your problems. So who knows?
Oh, right.
Who knows? Maybe I have to be this strictly carnivore because I've got a sheet of fucking plastic in me. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Worrying. Or
Jan,
is it? Yeah.
Jan says are shingles and gallbladder pain connected? Not that I know of, Jan. Not that I know of. Anyway, you've got a weird name up there today, Joag. You've called
Oh,
yourself today.
oh, I don't know why it's happening that. I have several questions. So,
Yeah, go for it. I saw you.
okay, first one is beef brain is impossible to get here on US. So, what do you do in that case? Maybe lamb brain or what can I
Uh,
do?
you mean for, to really go down that PKD route?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, it was all to do with the faked mad cow disease outbreak, wasn't it? BSE or whatever it was called.
Mm.
And so now they pretend that brains and anything around that and the head are dangerous, and so there's legislation against it.
Yeah.
We had a freezer full of brains, actually. My missus found them, went to an Indian shop, an Indian kind of big delicatessen butcher kind of place,
Come on.
and you can kind of get them under the counter there. You can go and get brains, if that might be worth a
I
look
will
if
do
you've
it.
got anything like that, sort of halal shops, things like that. But
Perfect.
yeah, and sheep brain is fine if you can get hold of them. But I don't think it's if you want them. I mean, they're quite nice actually. But I think she just says the real essentials are liver and bone marrow, doesn't she? But if you can do brain as well, yeah, great. But getting hold of it, I don't know. I can't. Apart from that, trying some foreign shops that where they don't quite listen to the regulations so much, and they, in their home countries, they're not so brainwashed by this ridiculous dietary advice. So, you know, easier to get stuff in places like that, I'd say. But
Yeah,
if you
true.
can't, I wouldn't really panic. Just get, bone marrow, get liver, get, great nutrition in there.
I am eating beef marrow daily. Is that correct?
I think that's great. Absolutely, yeah. It's only liver that you got to watch out that you really don't overdo it
Perfect. Yeah, I
because
am eating 80 grams of liver every day.
80 grand. Well, I don't know. They reckon about 400 a week, don't they?
400. Yeah, so yeah, it's okay. I
Around
am overdoing.
that. But again, it depends who you listen to. There's some people say, oh, you eat liver once and you're going to die from vitamin A poisoning. And then other people who say you can eat it all day. I mean, Sophia reckons you can eat it all day with no problem. But they still say, about a pound a week.
A
But
pound. Okay, I
I
will.
think that,
I will read.
yeah, I think it's absolutely fine. It's your vitamin pill while you're healing up. Most long-term carnivores don't really bother with it. But it depends on your absorption. So, um, yeah, I don't know about the amounts there. I think it's probably fine, particularly if your gut's leaky. But I'd sort of back off on it as symptoms go down
Perfect.
for a
So
bit.
I was eating at the beginning 1 kilograms and 200 grams of meat daily, not with sufficient fat. After just meet with you and also with all the videos from Sophia, I reduced the amount of meat to 400 grams. So I am doing 77 days now, just only meat and water and salt, 27 days with Sophia Clemens protocol. Um, so I did my T3 and T4 levels check the last week. All of them are in the normal levels. This doesn't occur since 2 years ago that I got the grave disease. So it's a good thing. Uh, Now but there are too many things under the truck that I have to fix. So problem is that I still have the antithyroid levels high. I have listened from Chafee that he said that usually the antithyroid uh, levels will keep high several months, even if there is not any attack to the thyroid. So yeah, I am just expecting that that's correct.
Because they come
So
that comes from a different organ, and I'm absolutely useless. I've forgotten which one it is. Is it the where does the anti-T come from?
uh,
It's not pineal, is it? It's the other one. It's so
oh,
it's not actually the thyroid you're trying to fix in Graves a lot of the time, is it?
okay, I am not sure. So yeah, so it's
Let me look it
the
up. My
exam that
brain's
the exam that I take is this one. It is called TRAP. So it's thyroid stimulating hormones. Uh, but yeah, that is still keep high.
yeah. Now, what's it called? The actual thing. It's not
Um,
Is it
anti.
hypothalamus? You're
uh,
saying the organ that um makes the TSH?
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So the
Yeah, that's it.
hypothalamus.
Proper brain
Yeah,
fart.
yeah.
Well, it okay. Here it produces thyrotropin releasing hormone TRH, which travels to the anterior pituitary gland and signals it to release TSH. So it's the pituitary that releases the TSH
Yeah.
coming from the hypothalamus.
The
And
TSH is still low.
that again just shows the importance of light to me straight away. I look at that because light controls a lot of hormones, and
Okay.
the light goes through really the what's it called, the suprachiasmatic nucleus in the hypothalamus, and that is what sort of sends out the timing to all the little clocks all around the body, and it's the master clock and for the circadian balance. And so that just shows to me that, get the light right too. Definitely focus on that. It's really
Okay.
important
Perfect.
um, for thyroid issues in general. When people have Hashimoto's and stuff, just, I always tell them to wrap their neck up when they're in front of the computer,
Yeah.
because light goes right in through the skin too.
Oh,
But
okay. Okay.
that's interesting. Yeah. So it's the pituitary, isn't it, that
Yeah.
produces the TSH. Thank you, Joni.
Yeah. So one question there is, what about exercise? Because Sophia said that not exercise on the healing process, but it is impossible. Okay, I am doing this one the last 3 days, but I am not sure. I just feel lethargy. I feel like I am not, because usually I just train for an hour. It could be just weights or just aerobic exercise. But yeah, not doing anything seems awkward to me and seems off. So what do you think on that track?
It depends what your body wants, and if you do it, if it makes you feel better, that's great. If it doesn't, then don't do it. So I think that if you're very sick, don't go for any sort of personal best 20 rep squat routines or anything down at the gym or deadlifts or something. Just my minimum. I mean, when I was really sick, it was just I couldn't even do any yoga and stuff. It was just somatics, real gentle stuff. But then I think rebounding is fantastic. If you've got a rebounder, that's just great exercise and also gets all the lymph flowing. And you can stop when you need to. You can do little sprints on it. You can just bounce up and down gently depending on what you want. You can, and walking, there's nothing wrong with walking. We're designed to walk. So that kind of exercise, I don't think there's any problem at all. Um, I would think she's probably talking about, trying to get personal best down the gym and things,
Oh,
which,
okay.
it's not the time to do that, but the body's designed to move. So absolutely move it as far as it's happy to move.
Oh, okay. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Makes sense. And the last question is about honey. I
Mm.
am not interested in consuming honey right now because I am in the healing process. But after the healing process, what I read in one of the paleomedicine articles said that honey is like something that we used to consume, like uh, maybe in the forest we got just some honey. So what are your thoughts on it?
I think it's just sugar. I don't think it's got any magical properties like some people think it has. You
Yeah.
know, it's just bee vomit, really, isn't it? That's what it is. But yeah, you know, Sophia brings it back in. She's funny actually because she's a bit of a honey freak. I remember her coming back with different pots of honey at one of the conferences when she was over here in England. She's going, "What do you think of this one? What do you think?" I don't eat that stuff, Sophia. I can't eat that stuff. I can have a load of sugar. It doesn't hurt me, you know, immediately. Obviously, it's not great for the body, but honey actually causes me inflammation. Don't like
Oh,
it. And I've
oh,
I've got my one of my missus's sisters actually has horrific allergy to it. She can't have it at all. I think some people are allergic to it. But yeah, in nature, you know, the tribes they go out and they get it, but they can't just go down the shops and get a tub of it, can they? You know, they've got to climb up a tree or up some cliff face or something and get stung to death while they're trying to get it. It's a bit of a task to get hold of honey. And when they do, they gorge on it. Great, you know, but do they need it? Is it healthy? I don't think so, but they're incredibly healthy and the occasional binge on a load of honey that they've is really hard won is not going to hurt them at all in that situation. But yeah, you know, fruit and honey, some people seem to be doing that. I feel personally a load better in ketosis. Now, some people, you know, there's this thing in the carnivore space at the moment where everybody is saying, you know, well, not everybody, but there's a little handful of people. Oh yeah, you need carbs. I've added carbs back in. I feel much better. I'll be interested to see what happens to them, like 6 months or a year down the line.
yeah.
Because mostly when Fruit Saladino got into adding back carbs and stuff, and then people in the groups were saying, you know, a few people were going, oh yeah, I feel much better underneath his videos. But then you see in the groups and people are going, yeah, I tried it because I wanted fruit and honey again, and it really messed me about and I felt awful. So there's loads of those. But there's not, you know, whatever happens with fruit and honey, I think is going to be quite immediate. You'll feel what it's doing because it doesn't have any horrendous toxins in it like vegetables. So it's not going to kind of build up in the body. So it's up to you. But yeah, paleomedicina say you can reintroduce that seasonally. But then when did we have it? We didn't get honey that often, and we only got fruit in certain seasons. So it's not like you can go full fruit saladino and eat sort of 400 grams of carbs a day. And I think he's looking really well. He's not looking terrible. He still looks healthy, but not as healthy as he did before he added all the carbs back in. I think anyway.
Yeah.
I can't judge. You know, maybe it's cool. It's up to him. But it's funny the big arguments about it. People are getting really upset with each other and arguing. I'm like, you know, if you want to add fruit and honey in, it's your own business. It's your body, it's your diet. You know, it's people get so upset about food. You know, the attacks I've had from various people um, on rheumatoid arthritis groups. Oh my God. And that if anybody's on Facebook, scroll down a bit and see this one I posted about a this vegan attack that I had. It was absolutely extraordinary. It actually beautifully phrased, but one of the most outrageous things that anybody's ever said to me. So I don't understand why people get so angry about diet. It's only food, for God's sake. Weird. Well, there we go. The brain on plants. Hey.
I know that you don't like just measurements of ketones levels and glucose, but I do this one regularly. And what has happened to me before is when I was eating 1 kilograms and 200 grams of meat, the glucose level was between 95 to 105, and the ketone levels usually between 2 and 3. Now that I am eating just 400 grams, the glucose level is between 60 and 70, and the ketones levels are always above 5. So
Wow.
my problem here is that Sophia said that you have to just to focus for 2 to 3.5. The issue is that just to get that, I need to increase the meat. But usually, if I increase the meat, I feel not so good. So, what do you think it could be the reason there is because yeah, I'm not sure how to reduce the ketones without increasing the glucose. Because if not, I need to reduce the fat And if I reduce the fat, I just feel terrible. So,
I would go by how you feel. It's not that I don't like testing. I just can't be bothered. For me, I don't feel the need for it. But if you want to do it, then do it. And if you were being, guided by Zofia, she'd be wanting to know those levels. Now, I really don't know about whether it goes up to five, well, what she'd say about that. But if you feel good and you feel better on more fat, I would say that's not a problem.
okay,
We just don't trust our bodies enough. It's certainly not dangerous, but that's a good, good high ketone level, yeah. But different people go to different levels of ketones depending on even at the same level of fat or and protein ratio. So I don't know. The body does what it needs to do, doesn't it? So if you're feeling better on the fat and the reading's saying that, I don't know. That would be. I could ask her. I've been chatting to her today, but I'll ask her, and I know exactly what she'll say. She'll say, "I need to know loads more and see loads more blood results, and I can't possibly comment on it from that." Which is kind of where I am now. But I would say if you feel great, what the hell?
perfect. I can
Yeah.
feel.
Cool. Anyone else? How you doing, Rob?
I'm well, Phil. Telling myself that I'm well. Um, Happy to be here today. I've watched a load of your videos and the recordings of your Zoom calls, and just a funny introductory story is about 4 months ago, I was freaking out because the inflammation dam broke after a year and a half of a functional doctor kind of plugging holes in it. And the inflammation broke, and I went carnivore. And I was flicking through videos on YouTube trying to educate myself, and figure out what to do. And I came across one of your shorts, and you said something snarky. I don't know what it was. It was something British and snarky, and I said I can't risk listening to that guy because there's nothing helpful for me there. And then I spent another like 2, 3 weeks losing my mind. I've got psoriatic arthritis. I was losing my mind saying I can find a load of people with rheumatoid, with Crohn's, with diabetes, I can't find anybody with psoriatic. And then I saw an Anthony Chafee interview with the Phil Escott man, and watched it and realized what I'd been missing. So it's just funny how fate goes like that sometimes. I avoided you for about a month because I thought you were just a snarky British guy, and then I watched your Chafee videos and realized that there's some real value to what you have to say. So,
Oh,
uh,
sweet. Thank you. It's funny.
not to mention,
I made those little videos. It was a friend of mine. He kind of, what the story of those is, he kind of ran all my stuff through AI. And he said, here's some scripts, that you can change around. Give them a go and see, what kind of traffic it brings. And some people kind of get angry about them and some people really like them. And it's not really me. It's something that sort of AI's sort of pulled off things that I do and to be ranty about it. So I think I did 15 little rheumatoid and psoriatic arthritis rants, on all different levels of the emotional stuff and all sorts, and shouting about big pharma and all the meds and how they don't work and all that kind of thing. And it got me into a bit of trouble here and there, but it's kind of fun. But yeah, it's
uh,
little rants.
I love them now. But yeah, no. So it's good to be here today and to just hear everyone's stories, and it's encouraging because I'm here in Waco, Texas. Um, Nobody believes that you can heal any of this stuff where
Mm.
I'm from. And so, I've been on a journey for the last 4 months, and it's nice to just hear y'all's stories and talk. Um,
It's
yeah, I think
it breaks my heart, that all these people think that it's not reversible. It's so really breaks my heart. Like, I gave up on all the rheumatoid arthritis Facebook groups. Anyone with admins actual that aren't bots, I get thrown out of really quickly anyway. And so I gave it up for about 6 years. And somebody tagged me in one recently, And I ended up wasting a load of time in there. Well, not all wasting, because some people were very cool and messaged me, and but mostly it was just attacks. They Google you and they say, "Oh, you're just here to sell books, and it's all lies, and you're dangerous," and that kind of thing. And I said, "Look, I put up a post saying, look, anybody from this group can have anything I do completely for free. You find anything that I do, so stop accusing me of being here to sell anything." And still they're just, "Oh, you're just evil, you're just lying, you're just," and it goes on and on. You put a podcast up of somebody else's, like Sophia's or Anthony's, or, "Oh, you're supporting them. How much of a kickback do you get from them?" And it's like, for God's sake. And it's so heartbreaking because they're all posting pics of their swollen joints, and how methotrexate's blown up their liver and all of this sort of thing, and people saying, "Oh, you must go back to your rheumatologist and talk about it." No, that's the last place you need to go. And I just can't read it anymore. It's like a great tidal wave of negativity every time you go on those things. And it's the white coat syndrome. They're fooled by the doctors. You can't heal it. It's all you can do is take our meds, and people believe them. But you just say to them logically, they've never healed anyone. When has a rheumatologist ever seen anyone reverse anything? They haven't ever. I've seen it tons of times. And half the time I have to give things away for free because people are so suspicious. I say, you go and ask your rheumatologist to give you a consultation for free and to give you some methotrexate or a 5 grand's worth load of biologics for a month for free. You just try, and you tell me who's the snake oil salesman. It's a real thing of mine. Because it breaks my heart. These people are all in terrible pain. They think you're a lunatic for going on there and telling them how they can get rid of it.
Well, that's something that, and I don't want to monopolize the rest of the time, but that's something that I'm maybe on a different call or whatever. I'll be curious to talk more about. Just I was on methotrexate, I was on Humira, probably about 3 years. My wife and I wanted to start having kids, and my wife, we knew enough at the time to say, hey, you probably shouldn't be on all that crap while you're trying to conceive a kid, and um, I mean, my wife was going to conceive. I was just participating. But so I went off of that, and then the docs just put me on NSAIDs for 2 years, and that does all sorts of stuff to you. And then I did nothing for 2 years, and then I did the holistic, vitamin protocols and all that for 2 years, and um, yeah, I've actually found the most genuine desire to see people well in the carnivore community. I mean, I went on Anthony Chavy's consultancy site or whatever, and he's like, "Hey, go watch my 5,000 hours of free videos. Please don't pay me for a consult."
Mm.
He just says it right at the top, So, yeah, but I find a sense of genuine hope in what's going on here, and I've never been able to say that I felt hope walking out of a rheumatologist's office.
Yeah.
And so I'm hopeful. I'm 4 months in to carnivore. I'm probably about 3 months into ruminant only. I do have some vitamins still in the mix, and some naltrexone, low dose naltrexone, which I'll be curious at some point your opinion. But I've also got a load of stress going on. I mean, my life the last 2 years, um, like I said, I won't monopolize the rest of the time, but
No,
it's
no, don't
been,
worry. We got
you know,
time. I've got to go at 20 past. That's all, to pick up my son from Taekwondo. So that's
yeah.
what I've got to do.
I just it's been an unreasonably stressful couple years by anyone's metrics, and I've heard that stress can have a lot to do with symptom presentation as well.
Of course.
Um,
Yeah.
by way of example, my mom's kind of in her last, I think maybe in her last few days, but
Oh,
she's definitely in her last few weeks. I was sat with her yesterday. She was doing very poorly, and yeah, I get a little bit of tightness and a little, not quite a flare, but it feels, oh, like this pinky's not happy today, or whatever when that happens. But the PKD stuff has been compelling. I'm curious, Phil, just if with where I'm at, I feel like I've gotten better over the last 4 months. I didn't really hit my high fat, higher fat ratios until about 3 weeks ago. 1.3 to 1, so I'm still not to the 2 to 1 that Sophia might recommend. Um, but I'm just curious, like, what your views are on healing under the conditions I've kind of just described. and what you might suggest to think through, discern through. Obviously, as I'm dealing with mom, and then I could tell you all the other things sometime on a not public call, maybe. But
Yeah,
yeah,
sure. Well, look, first of all, I'm sorry to hear about your mum. You know, I know exactly the stress of that. I went through that 2018, and yeah, my heart goes out to you and her on that one. But not a lot you can do about that one. Um, but I think vitamins and stuff, they're usually got fillers that keep the gut leaky. They're not in a bioavailable form. They're often combined in a way that they wouldn't be in nature, so they cancel themselves out. They are often full of deuterium. I think save your money, and your vitamin pill is liver. Yeah. So I would just get on with that PKD thing. And low dose naltrexone, I don't think on carnivore you're going to need it. I took it for a couple of years from about 2013 to 2015. I wanted to try. I was pretty much healed, but I was still keto and I was eating a few roast veg and things like that. And being on low dose naltrexone enabled me to eat a whole load of berries and cream all day long. And that's all it did, really. It kind of knocks the edge off it. And when I went carnivore in 2015, or rather, I dropped the low dose naltrexone before that and realized that no, it's all it's doing is covering stuff up, you know? But at least it's safe. Now, if rheumatologists would only prescribe that, it's effective. The trouble is, it costs $25 a month or something, doesn't it? Whereas Humira is like thousands or whatever. So of course the puppet masters tell the doctors exactly what to prescribe, so they get a load of money for it. But low dose naltrexone is actually pretty safe. I mean, in those doses, even in the doses for drug addicts and alcoholics at 50 to 300 milligrams a day, it's still safe and showed no liver damage, which is what it was invented for addiction, wasn't it? But
right.
but then in that sort of 3 to 5 milligrams or whatever it is a day, sometimes even 1.5. Sometimes it works better at less, and it works on the opiate receptors, opioid receptors. So it's not shutting down inflammatory pathways, so it's much safer. I once asked Sophia about it, and she said it's rubbish and it keeps the gut leaky as well. You can imagine that's what she'd say. So I think if you're really strict carnivore on PKD, you won't need that, and you certainly won't need the vitamin pills, and they could hold you back.
Gotcha. Would you say that healing has been occur? I mean, it sounds like you had a pretty large amount of healing while you were just keto, right? So, I mean, my sometimes I lay awake at night wondering if my vitamins are keeping my gut leaky, or if I have experienced. I mean, I do think I've experienced a degree of healing, but I want to go strict, but I also worry that I'm with all the stress that I may be disrupting the system, or maybe I'm being too strategic about it. I don't know.
Just do everything that's within your power to do. Get the light right, get all the circadian thing right. Don't have any blue light at night. Get out in the natural light in the morning to get the melatonin production to release it at night. Just do all the other things right that's in your power. We can never control certain times of stress. But when I was eating sort of keto with some veg, I would find that I'd have little tingles, little flares, nothing that would sort of put me on the sofa for months or anything. But it was always like, oh yeah, there's a little bit here, there's a little bit there. It's still smoldering, even with the low dose naltrexone. But then totally beef, lamb, salt and waters, nothing, not a hint of anything ever. But it's been 10 years now, but I'll go off it now and again. I'll have some dairy and a bit of pork and chicken, which sometimes I'll feel and sometimes I won't. But I don't know. The stricter you are, the less of anything you'll have. And so I think that I have to stay strict because I probably keep the gut leaky with the old brandy. And I think that's probably why I have to stay that strict still. But, as I often say, if you make a mistake, brandy's a bit more fun than broccoli. So, that's what I do. But it's not a good idea to do it. And I'd never do it in a healing phase. But maybe that's why, I don't know. But I actually really like eating that way. The other things are just like I've done it so long now, it's that's food, and the other stuff is, whereas some people might go out for a pizza, I'll sort of have some chicken wings or something, and that's my junk food.
Yeah.
And so, it doesn't hurt me if I do it now and again. If I go out to a restaurant, I'll have, a steak and some chicken wings or something, or maybe not even. I just my son has them, and I'll nick a couple of them, but that's it, without any of the sauces. But that would be my junk food. So, you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, the stricter you are, and it is that simple. It's so difficult to get it across because they think you're just a nutter. You turn up in these arthritis groups and say, just eat fatty beef and lamb. They think you're a lunatic. It's not that I spent 30 years studying diet, and then the last 16 after that, deprogramming myself to come to the conclusion that it's fatty beef and lamb, to get rid of autoimmunity. And don't think there's any difference between rheumatoid and psoriatic. It's just these ridiculous labels that they put on people. Andrea, you put this thing out. Is there an NHS test for let me go back. Right. So no, there isn't. There is a test. It's called a what is it? Paleomedicina used to do it. It's what's the stuff? PEG, polyethylene glycol. And so they get you to swallow that, and then they test the blood to see how much of it comes through. But I think it's horrendous stuff that probably keeps the gut leaky anyway. But that's how paleomedicina used to test, but now they don't. Apparently, nobody really does that anymore. So I mean, the test for leaky gut is really to just, go fatty beef, lamb, salt, and water, and then see what happens. But the gut, unless it's horrifically damaged, the gut actually heals quite quickly. Maybe three weeks, Sophia reckons. But then it depends what the body's got to clear up in the meantime. What's already got through. And so there's a lot of there's a lot of spring cleaning to be done sometimes. If somebody's really newly diagnosed, they've taken no meds. I've seen psoriatic and rheumatoid reversed in 2 or 3 weeks sometimes. But that's if it's more difficult if you've been on meds for ages, or some plant-based diet for ages, and then there's other things to maybe clear up because the body has to go in there and inflame and get rid of things. So there might be the odd flare afterwards. And that's it. So, but no, I don't think there's a test. And having looked into what polyethylene glycol really is, would I really want to put that in my gut anyway? I don't know. But
Yeah.
that's how they test for it.
Because I have a severe, well, I've been sort of trying to get around the supermarket, and both of my ankles are on fire. And it's to
Well,
the point where I just can't put any weight on them. So I've got them elevated at the moment. And I'm thinking, well, how do I know what it is, and how do I know, because I think the doctors did do a gout test, but that particular day I went, I wasn't having a really big problem. So, like you say, with the blood results, and I think it came back okay. Well, yeah, and I was thinking, well, yeah, I was all right that day. So it's very confusing. And I was a bit confused about the Sally Norton thing, about introducing, avoiding things slowly, or I think what she was saying is don't sort of just go complete carnivore. But yeah, I don't know. I'm confused as to what is the right thing to do. How do we know how much is right, and or because at the moment I'm trying to just do the lamb, salt and water, and it's quite a fatty lamb as well. So yeah, but this pain is crazy. I literally can't put any weight on my feet at
God,
all.
no, I remember the ankle pain. Haven't had it for years, but that was the most painful joints ever. It was, not at rest.
Mm.
I've had times where my knees have been, well, one knee has been really horrendous at rest, but for actually walking on it, bad ankles are worse than a bad knee.
Yeah,
They're horrific, but I haven't had that for a long time.
I've just been in Sainsbury's supermarket, and you know how big these places are. I've never even ever got to all corners of the supermarket ever yet. But I'm shopping for my mum, so it's like,
Mm.
and I just lean on the trolley and drag myself round, and it's I get to a sort of a certain point, and I think that's it. Where's the exit? So, but it's
It's
I'm
funny. It's funny you mentioned.
I didn't buy anything
Sorry.
for myself because all I'm buying is a lamb and salt and water. You know, that's all I'm eating, and it's yeah. And so I'm thinking, am I detoxing the oxalates too fast? Because I know I had that problem in February where everything just went kaput and I nearly died and stuff. And I don't know what happened there, but I had been eating stupidly. I'd been eating some like this was like about just over a year ago. I'd been eating bananas, and because they were cheap, you know, where I was at the time, and dates. And I was thinking, yeah, that was a really silly thing to do. Not just eating those, but I had been eating them, and obviously now I don't eat anything like that. But I ended up with so many problems and nearly died with acute kidney failure and stuff. So I portion it down to a number of things, like, you know, not being in the sunshine and stress and combination of all sorts of things. But since then, in the hospital, they gave me like a sort of well, it was a very good hospital diet, actually. I was like, you know, it was fresh food and stuff. And I was being encouraged to eat, you know, somebody turned up with a whole load of blueberries and you know, and other fruits and grapes and stuff like that. And you know, no, it didn't forgive. You know, I was, yeah, no, I definitely decided soon after that that was not for me because I won't go into detail, but yeah, my gut didn't forgive me for that.
Yeah.
So I said to them, look, no more carbs. I have to stop all of those because my, you know, my inflammation was up, and as soon as I stopped it, 3 days after, the inflammation was down, so that was good. And then recently, I've had been to the rheumatologist just because it was a new rheumatologist, and I wanted to see what sort of reaction they've got to people that are wanting to heal, not just putting up with being sick and saying and accepting that they say there's no cure. Um, and having I said I'm having an elimination diet, a low carb. You know, I didn't mention the word carb all because I just thought they'll just put their fingers in their ears. But you know, but they said that the inflammation in the blood was down, but there was a lot of inflammation in the joints. And then I was thinking to myself, when I said ow, I meant ow. You know, that hurt, not it didn't hurt because they were squeezing. The guy was squeezing each joint as if it didn't hurt. And yeah, on obviously on my fingers, all the joints hurt, every single one when he presses it. So if they're saying the inflammation is in the joints and it's not in the blood, what do they mean by that? Do you know?
Well, it depends what inflammatory markers they're looking at. You know, if they're looking at CRP, C-reactive protein or something, that
Mm.
might come down. But you see people with massive CRP where they don't feel inflammation, and people with sort of lower CRP when they do. So to me, it's all about the symptoms and see how that's going. So yeah, again, it's blood markers showing weird things. But it's funny you mentioned dates. I remember back, must be like 2011 or something when I was really sick. And I remember eating a packet of dates. I don't think I've ever been in so much pain for about 2 or 3 days. I'd completely forgotten about that, actually. I thought, oh, yeah, these are great, all natural and lovely. And yeah, they taste fantastic, don't they? But oh my God, the pain. Now, here's a real interesting thing. Make of this what you will. But it was interesting you said that you're shopping for your mum and you're looking after your mum or whatever. But um, when my ankles healed up, I've told this story before a few times, but I was looking after my mum for 10 years or so. From my dad died in 2003, and 2013 or so, I decided I'd had enough. We were in a big house, 3 floors, and she had one of them, and the missus and I had another one, and then we kind of shared the downstairs. So we were looking after her while I was. And it was difficult. It is sometimes you don't realize the stress of it. And then one day I thought, I've had enough. And so got her a little apartment somewhere. We went into a smaller house, which we're still in actually. And within 2 weeks, my ankles healed up. No change in diet, nothing. They've never hurt me since, not even a tiny bit.
Mm.
And I looked at the emotional root cause of ankles, and it's look for something that you're trying not to run away from,
Mm.
which really fascinated me. Now, it's a thing perhaps not to go into on a public call, but going into that emotional stuff and things. But I would sort of if that rings true at all, that is what healed my ankles. And I think what happens is that certain emotions go to different parts of the body, and they make it so that toxins accumulate there because the body is not clearing them as it goes along. So then you get flares in those joints as the body panics and goes into them to mop them up. It's like, my main thing is not moving forward in life. This real frustration of getting all these beautiful healing stories, and yet at the end of the month I go, like, we can't pay the bills. It annoys me, and sometimes I do get a bit resentful towards, and now I see sadistic rheumatologists as well, squeezing painful joints, for God's sake. I mean, just leave them alone. You just need to talk to somebody and say, well, how do they feel? You don't need to start prodding them around. But
It's every single one.
it's just
And,
ridiculous.
and I was
Absolutely ridiculous.
ow,
Yeah, yeah.
that hurts, I said,
Well, you should have given him a slap around the face or something each time, Each time you squeeze a joint, I get a shot. I get a shot at you, you
Yeah.
sadistic bastard. But anyway, I sometimes do get resentful towards them. And so for me, it's a moving forward in life. So I find it difficult to shift it out of the knee. Now I have no inflammation because I'm really strict. But if I suddenly found a way to be totally financially secure, would I suddenly, be able to eat more things? Because I wouldn't have to take care of my knee so much with just beef, lamb, salt, and water. It's very interesting, and I don't think anybody in the world has the answers to these things. But I think, like you ask a rheumatologist, why is it in this finger and not that finger? Why is it in this hand and not this foot? They have no answers. But the people who go down that emotional route, particularly that book I keep mentioning, The Secret Language of Your Body by Ina Seagal, it's the best book for this kind of thing. It's absolutely amazing.
Secret language. Hang on.
The Secret Language of Your Body by
Okay.
Ina Seagal, Inassegal. It's really like the old
I'll look that up. Yeah.
like the Louise Hay books, You Can Heal Your Life. And she started off, well, I mean, it's been known in ancient medical systems forever. But, the original one that most people know in the West is the Louise Hay books. But somebody once told me, have a look at this Inner Seagull book. It's like Louise Hay on steroids. I mean, it's not a book you ever need to read. It's just you go look at your symptoms, or you go and it's classified with as it sort of various diseases, or various body parts, even down to individual vertebrae. If you've got a problem with L1, it's slightly different to having a problem with L2, slightly different emotional thing. And it all seems nuts, but so many times when I've done personal consults with people, when we get past the diet thing and then get to the interesting stuff, then, I'll get that book out and I'll say, well, what do you think about this? If there's something wrong with the thyroid or something, you go and look at that. If there's, something wrong with an ovary, if they've got PCOS or something like that, you can see the various emotional things and they go very often, yep, that's close, or wow, that's me. And so I've seen it too many times.
Talking of books, I mean, I was looking at getting the Sally Norton book about the oxalates. So, yeah, I mean, presumably these things, when you get like sleep in your eye, and because I think, oh, is that an oxalate? And I was trying to, like Is that what that is when you get it, from round your eyes?
I think it's more like when it's sore and you get things like styes and stuff like that, rashes when it comes out through the skin.
Because
Just
I
a bit of sleep in your eye is pretty normal.
right, yeah, I was going to say because I'm thinking I haven't got any physical stuff other than the pain, and some swelling, um, but otherwise, it's not. How do you know if it's the oxalate, and if it's not oxalate, what else could it be?
Well, there's all sorts of plant toxins that get in there. They can be cleared a bit quicker. The oxalates are pretty sticky and take a lot of time. But there's all sorts of things we poisoned ourselves with. Lectins are very much to do with joint pain,
Yeah, yeah.
all that kind of thing. What's Frank is saying? Louise has two books that I use. You Can Heal Your Life and Heal Your Body. Yeah, they're great books. They are.
That is that leptin, LEC,
Lectin, yes.
and yeah, because and because for me it's like I want to know what's wrong and I want to fix it. This is this is why, because I'm
You
like,
might never know. You might never know, Andrea. Half the
or
things.
the only way to heal is to just do the lamb salt and water, and then also I mean I've run out of electrolytes at the moment, so I'm missing that, but
I would just use salt. Just use the Celtic sea salt. Some of those electrolytes are not totally necessary. Mostly, it's just salt that's needed if you have any symptom like that. Um, Frank is saying you can use binders for the oxalates, such as activated charcoal, bentonite clay, and zeolite, chlorella, Epsom salt foot bath twice a day. I think that's great. I've used bentonite clay and zeolite and stuff like that. I don't anymore. I did it mostly during my vegan times, and they were very useful then, but
yeah.
now not so much. But timing binders should generally be taken away from food and supplements, often 2 hours apart, to avoid binding necessary nutrients. That's true. God, Jan says Inflectra is 2.5 grams per person would increase with weight. Give an IV every 2 months, and patients would still have flare-ups. I know oh my God, it's terrible, isn't it? But Jan, have to go now. Thank you, Phil. You're an amazing man. Oh, Jan, that's sweet. Ask ask my missus. She knows. I'm just a naughty little boy.
You're not. You're amazing. You've helped us a lot.
Oh, you're very sweet.
Bill, accept it, mate. You're an amazing man.
Oh, Brian, thank you. Thank you. You're
You
really sweet.
truly are.
Oh,
See you again soon.
that's lovely.
All right.
Thank you.
I have to come up to where you are, Phil, and take you out for a meal or something.
That'd be lovely. That'd be great. Yeah, yeah.
I don't think I'm far away, so down in sort of the Cheshire, Stockport area. So
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, cool.
moment. So yeah, no.
And anyone who's in England, you've got to come along to our Ancestral Health Festival. I've just put it up on Substack and stuff, but we finally got the page up, and there we go. We're going to do it again. It's going to be fun.
I mean, if there's any I would say awake meetings or anything like that, I don't know if there's oh yeah, there's Edge of the Matrix guy, Steve and Sue, isn't there? So I'm just thinking, there should be some more people sort of getting together and having good food and good discussions and stuff.
We're just about to start that locally down at the junction where we do the ancestral health thing.
Okay.
Lydia and I are going to start doing a fat club, PHAT club. And
Okay.
I'm not sure what we're going to call it yet, but to get people down. And what I'd like to do is to siphon off all the people from these criminal organizations like Slimming World and Weight Watchers that are just set up for repeat business, and get them down there and not sort of starving them to death and then binging and up again and
Yeah.
um
So is that something that would happen before? Because I know there's an event in summer, but
yeah.
I'm too impatient for.
Yeah, no, we're going to do it soon, and I'll put it out on the Substack. So if you've signed up to the Substack, you'll find out all about it, and we will do it locally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay, that'd be good. Because
Okay. Look, I really. Sorry.
Okay. Bye from me.
Okay, I just want to answer this question. I've got to go get my son. I want to answer this Redmonds and Himalayan thing really quickly. because it's kind of amusing. This is something that I would have to agree with Jack Cruz on. If I can find it here, because it is funny. Yeah, I found it. Okay. So why Celtic sea salt? Is it possible to use Redmond's or Himalaya? That's my alarm to go get Peter. Is it possible to use Redmond's? Redmond's apparently is really good. Himalayan, not so good. Here's Jack Cruz on Himalayan salt, which is kind of amusing. Pink Himalayan salt has no enzymes. It's essentially a rock. What you're doing when applying pink salt is applying beach sand to your food. It's the same thing, no different. Salt should come present with lithophilic organisms to assist in the breakdown of inorganic minerals. The enzymes also assist this process alongside natural acids. It's not amphoteric, therefore it creates issues with the sodium-potassium process. An amphoteric substance is an oxide of an element that can act as both an acid or a base. Furthermore, it's not below its 9 atomic clusters. This means it cannot either pass through or enter the body without causing tissue damage on the atomic level. High in deuterium and does not fit as a sodium source since it has a drastic effect on ionized blood levels. Celtic salt is great. A phenomenal wide variety of salts are in existence. I like the exotic sea salts from Fiji. I also love the fleur de sal from France. The way Himalayan salt is procured through its intensive mining process is atrocious, and the salt usually contains heavy metals from the grinding process and trace amounts of potassium nitrate from gunpowder explosions. Rich in fluoride, this results in overall electron transport and mitochondria inefficiency. Know your salt. He doesn't mess about, does Jack Cruz? So that's what he says about salt anyway. I think that probably answers it.
Yes, it does.
Very helpful.
So there we go. Right, I've got to go down and leg it because I did something terrible on Friday. I fell asleep and I didn't pick him up from Taekwondo. And the missus came in 20 minutes after I was supposed to pick him up. I got in terrible trouble, serious trouble. My missus hardly ever gets angry, but my God, I was in trouble then, I tell you. It took me all night to calm her down. And quite rightly, probably. But I even set an alarm and slept through it. I was absolutely knackered. And anyway, poor Peter, but I can't do that today. So I've
Off
got to
you
go
go.
get him. So great to see everybody and see you next time.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Phil.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.